Hey y'all, it's Evan with Fifth Third Trading once again. Today is Wednesday, December 30th. Happy New Year to you, happy holidays, Merry Chrysler, happy Honda days, whatever you kind of car you have, whatever you celebrate is all good with us. Today I have about 12 plays for you. A few I called yesterday with a written list, so if you do not follow me on Twitter or on Reddit or anything else, you may not have seen it. So I'm going to call them plays today. Additionally to these, now a few of these plays took off, like Surf was up 10% today and then it crashed. RRC's up 7%. So make sure you follow me on Twitter and other places to follow along for those kinds of plays that you may not have seen on here, because I can't film every day, especially on break like this. Seeing as I'm a teacher, I do have time during the school year, but during my breaks I'm a little bit more busy, with being an adult. So you may have missed some stuff yesterday. I got a few that did not take off we can cover today, plus a few extra. With that being said, this channel is made for 9 to 5 traders, folks who are intermediate, folks who are beginners, everyone who wants to learn technical analysis the proper way. There's no shortcuts to that. There's no one book. There's no one formula or indicator. It's all about practice and having patience and sticking to principles and rules. That's what I teach. On top of that, before every single stock is a 5-second ticker video, it's going to show the ticker and a little nice B-roll song. I encourage you to pause the video, go on to Thinkorswim or TradingView or Trading 2112, whatever you follow. Do these tickers with me. Do your trend lines, your patterns, do your supports, resistances, all those kinds of things, and then track what I do as well. That way you can see how close or far away you are. It's always very helpful. With that being said, let's get into it. As you can see above me are the 12 stocks today. Again, this is going to be a 25-35 minute video. I encourage you to pause it and go throughout. You'll see chapters at the bottom of the YouTube video. If one doesn't look good to you, just skip it. There's no point in you wasting your time to get through it, to get to the next one. If you don't like how, ENBL looks, just skip it and go to the next one, right? This is not intended to be a 45-minute straight listen. Some folks bounce around. My average listen time is, about 10-15 minutes for a reason. I encourage you all to use your time wisely. That's what I'm trying to teach you. Let's look at the first one. So yesterday we called ENBL. As you can see, it's a ascending triangle, for sure. Now, minus this peak over here, you have almost a perfect setup for one. And again, that's a really good bullish pattern. I always, make that orange. And again, this isn't perfect, right? You had these two kind of break it, so it could be a channel play. And if it's a channel, which is also great for the future, that's why you should watch this. If it does die here, maybe it's going to drop down to $4.40 or maybe even $4. All it means is we're going to get a better deal eventually, right? If we were to buy in here and lose a few bucks, well, if we were to buy in now and it dies till 5, you lost 4%. But if you buy in down here when it dies and you watch listed it, you'll make up almost 50% in this channel. So that's why this is important for you to watch list and wait. But these lines matched up almost too perfectly. As you can see, bunch of bounces even over here, they respected it. So that's a great sign of strength from this trend line. This is support area, obviously, from over here, these two, and then of course, bounced here, here and here. So this is a very strong trend line. I called this yesterday, very strong support. It easily has another 15% to run if it does live here. And we are used to seeing bounces here, right? It dies off, it bounces. It dies off, it bounces. It died off and it bounced technically. But to clarify, it never actually touched the top of our resistance. So this was technically still an uptrend, right? This may have just been one move up. So I would be remiss not to mention this one. And again, if you're a more cautious person, you want to wait for it to break this these lower highs here. Oh, gato. So you wanted to break here first, but again, you're giving up almost 3% of profit to ensure that it's out of the downtrend. So be careful with that as we move forward with this one. Let's check the indicators. And they look good. Very simple. It's a 200 EMA bounce play, right? It's holding at it. And again, it does hold and does respect it highly, right? And again, EMA lines are more like trampolines. They're not going to be concrete. I see here it kind of slowly moved into it. So then it kind of slowly came out and it's violently broke it. And it violently came back, right? Over here, it's more of a concrete thing, right? It kind of, it really bounced. But over here, it's really coming into it nice and shallowy. You like that a lot. RSI is oversold. Anything beneath 40 is oversold. And again, it was just at 31. Stochastic still pretty low. It is showing life, right? And that's obvious. You have some green candles. Now they're not really going anywhere, but consolidation means a big move's coming. Vortex doesn't really get this low, right? You can see right there at 0.68, the Vortex usually bottoms out for green, which means that the red, which is your negative movement, is also getting exhausted. A lot of moves get tired, and Vortex shows that, right? While this was getting a lot of red, you can see where it bottomed out at. It perfectly almost indicated that, right? It was like it's getting bottomed out over here, and then green got exhausted going down. So I think we're due for reversal soon here, according to the indicators and according to the price action. And again, you need to watch this. If ENBL breaks here and drops lower, the money that you lose placing a bet on this to go long, and if it does break, you can buy in later and make that up plus more. So ENBL midstream partners is a great stock for the future. Next is ETON. This was a play I played much earlier this year due to I bought it over here and I played up a few swings before, and then I kind of forgot about it, and here we are again, back to where it should be. Now this channel is quite large. I mean, we're talking almost 8%. So the entry point is going to be difficult, but again, I'm almost only including for these 3 moves down here. So you could easily take this bottom one out, and this would be a fine channel up. And again, this is a ascending triangle. My favorite play is defined. They're so bullish. They're great for going long. And again, most ascending triangles that break turn into horizontal channels, and that's also a great play. I mean, you could easily do stocks that are like falling knives, trying to catch those, or other patterns. They're all probably great, but I'd rather do a 4-piece puzzle with the same result as a 50-piece puzzle, with the same kind of reward for doing it. And this is exactly what this does for us. It really cuts out a lot of the guesswork. Higher lows across the board, higher lows, higher lows. This one, again, real far down, but technically was higher. Higher low, higher low. These are consistently higher lows showing bulls are in control. Anywhere at this golden line would be a great buy entry. And again, we're only 3% above that, so that's a little bit more risk to take on. But again, if you want to be Mr. Risk Manager, you may miss an easy 17% move here for 3 extra. So again, that's a good 5-to-1 play. Regardless, you could also throw in some supports, and this red area is definitely a support area. So ETON's primed for a big move up. Not many big moves down. I mean, again, you had a huge run up that dropped off. You had a huge run up that dropped off. Big green candle, big red. So there's not many instances from this point of or this area value that we see a lot of big red candles. So it's a pretty good safe play. Let's check the indicators. They also look good. The 200 EMA line is almost exactly lined up with this channel through most of it. You can see over here, it rode up like that because of that channel, and it broke down. It's an FDA play, so I'm assuming there was an FDA run up that fell off like ARCT the other day. It probably ran up again, and now it's right at the 200. So it must have bounced off that, and now it's moving up. And again, you got to look at previous price action, right? It gets close to it, and as you see, it kind of moves into it. There's going to be some red, and it does like really good wavy bull movements, right? You get a whole bowl shape, a whole cup shape right here. So I would suspect this has another day or two of really just kind of the 10 EMA line, that is, has a good amount of time of really kind of leveling out. So you got some time to move on this one, I think. 44 is not oversold, but it's a fair price. Stochastic says it can't get much lower. Yep, can't get much lower, and it's curling. And again, historically, when it curls, it leads to profit. And the Vortex can't get much lower. So these are all great indicators. And again, I don't watch these or check them until I do these with you to show you what I see and the pattern that I see it. I always go top down, left to right, and so it's EMA lines, volume, and then down. So these all look really good. ETON would be a fantastic play in the future, I think. Next is another one I called yesterday, EYE, National Visions Holding. Ironic, I like the name of the ticker. And again, it's a really simple channel up. And again, it needs to be said that channel ups do not last forever. You're not going to find a stock over a year or two's period that often that it just has such a clean run up. CAT has a great one right now as well that just runs up perfectly in a channel. And that's great. And again, we're going to have more of these due to the March crash that they crashed, but they're all kind of steadily coming back up. And every steady run up has pullbacks along the way, right? So we're trying to catch a pullback right now. Now this area of value, this line here, Again, you could easily extend to whatever you want to think is a fair area. Now, again, I've put the roof on it to show that it's equal, but you could easily come over, you know, probably about here and do like a line like that. As you can see, a lot of mid bounces here. So anywhere in this area is probably a good area of value, and we're right at it. And again, these kind of plays are really important to look back at the history. This one, I call these like staircases. You know, you make a channel like this, and you extend it right. You can see every single move up also started with areas that were once channels, like the little baby channels, and then they ascend, right? Stocks can do three things: ascend, descend, consolidate. So we have consolidation, ascension, consolidation, ascension, consolidate, ascension, descension, consolidate, ascension. So it doesn't really typically hit the top of the channel. That's okay that it hasn't over here. It's very similar to this shape over here, right? It went up, ran up, consolidated, ran back up. So I think this is a great area value. If it dies, you know, you lose 3%. If it breaks the channel and holds, but again, easily we're looking at 15, 20% maybe over the next 3 weeks if it needs some more time to develop. But again, technical analysis shows in a staircase pattern up in a channel, EYE is going to be a winner. Let's check the indicators. Again, first glance, it respects the 50 more than the 200 because the 200 is so far away. And some folks would argue that being away from a line shows strength. I argue the opposite. The farther away from a line you are, the more likely it is to get pulled back to it. Because again, every single healthy run up has pullbacks, and the farther, more extended away you get, the harder the crash is going to be, right? You got too far away here, right? 22%, and then it crashed 14% the next day. So, you know, I think that it's healthy to definitely bounce off lines and have some room off of them. And the closer to the 200, the better. But as of right now, it's bouncing at the 50. So 45 is going to be your low point. You may want to sell anywhere from 44 to 45 if it doesn't hold at the 50. And again, you got to use previous price action, right? It bounces for maybe a day here, 2 or 3 days here, 2 or 3 days, right? So you may buy into one of these moves over here that took almost 30 days for some action, right? That's a possibility. And you're trying to look for one of these big, nice run-ups of 28% or 22, so you may buy in, you know, to a consolidation phase, but we're trying to catch a big move. If you have to cut it for that reason, that's fine. 44, it was just oversold, but 44 is a fair price. Stochastic couldn't get much lower before, and that's obviously a divergence as well, because any of these points over here, this to that's going to be a divergence, that to that's a divergence, and then this to that's a divergence because these aren't equal. So this is definitely showing it has divergent strength because these do not match. This is higher than all three of these points, and Vortex can't get much lower. So this thing's really primed up for a big move, and again, it could consolidate. You know, it has a chance over here for a good, you know, week and a half consolidation. But again, EYE is going to move up eventually, I think, and make a big move, 20-25% over the next month or so. That's about 1% a day. Great move, great investment. Next is FTIB, ironically a bank with my name. Who knew that existed? Thank God I can't be sued because I have nothing that they want. So the channel up is beautiful here. And again, is this going to last forever? Absolutely not. Channel ups never last forever. Channel downs never last forever, right? You can see over here another almost exact, big fella, calm down, right? Very similar channel up over here over the same amount of time, and then it died. Now, when I say it died, it moved down 12%, okay? But then it moved up 40. So this is going to eventually break. It is. You have a head and shoulders over here, a lot of really good technical analysis going on in this whole entire chart. Double bottom right there, right? So this is a good value play though, because again, if you were to buy like in the middle over here, that's risky. Buying at the bottom of this area value or the top of it, that's fine. Again, the most you're risking 2%, you're going to cut, you know, anywhere in this area if it doesn't hold. But again, you could easily make 5, 7, 10%. And if you hold for the long run, like over here, if you were to hold for the long run over here, 19%, 24, 27, depends on how long you want to go. And as a refresher for some people, for stop losses, you always got to use a stop loss. You can just go to add studies, all studies, ATR, we'll show you it. So it averagely moves 38 cents at this point, right? 38 cents. So it's at 27.28. So I'm no math whiz, but 26.90 sounds about right to me. So 26.90 would be the low point for tomorrow, which would put you in the channel. And then you give yourself a little bit extra sprinkling, so maybe 26.60. So that'll be your stop loss, right? You want to find the average true range, bottom that plus a little bit extra. So that'll be your stop loss. Let's check the other indicators though. Obvious play again, 50 EMA bounce. It respects the 200 when it gets down there, and that's kind of why it looks like the channel. I gave it a channel here. I didn't even know that the 50 was there. Or the 200. I just placed it based on price action. So if it doesn't live here, and again, if it doesn't live, you're probably going to be buying in closer to 25.50. And I guess you could hold if you really wanted to hold that 6% loss until it comes back. That's fine. It's also near a support area. But again, I would just argue that, you cut it when the thing you bought it for doesn't live, right? If you bought for support and the support dies, don't hold it. That's stupid. And we don't do big dumb stuff. We do big brain stuff around here. So the RSI is a fair price, but again, given it's a channel up, do channel ups really get oversold? No, that's not really the tendency we see. And again, you got to think outside the box here. You put your RSI line here, like your cursor, you can see 44 is where it goes to, right? This is things you need to learn, right? So 44 is kind of where we're looking at 45, maybe 40. So right now it's at 48, but again, it was just at 45. So I guess it could drop a little bit more. But again, this is your area of value in RSI, and it's there. Stochastic can't get much lower, and it just curled because of the green. That makes sense. Do I see a divergence? Sort of. I mean, one could argue that's lower, that's higher. That's higher, that's lower. That is a bullish divergence. And again, it's a small one, but it's there. And the Vortex can't get much lower than where it is. So again, all the indicators pointing for reversal. Price action's there, safe stop loss. FTIB is a really good trade, good swing trade. You're not white knuckling it. I like it a lot. I called KPTI yesterday, and I mean, let's be real. All this over here is not as worth anything, and again, it's not what I'm looking at. And again, we could say that this was our downtrend right there, and it broke it, and that's, again, you can see this gigantic wick, this bow, tested and took off. Not an accident. But I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at this. What a channel up. And again, this is definitely a ascending triangle. Now it's taking its time. It's being slow. So one could easily argue this is actually a channel play because you can say these are not higher lows throughout it, right? So it's probably closer to a channel. But with that being said, over time, besides these two right here and that one, it's gotten higher lows. I called it yesterday. I said it tapped and it was up 2% today. So you're not opening yourself up to too much more risk. You need to understand though, there will be a pullback in this. Okay, you only had, this one was definitely no pullback. But again, this one had pullbacks, this one had pullbacks. So there's a good chance it's going to pull back maybe a little bit. So it also has a history over here of going up a little bit and then coming down, right? Coming up, coming down. So if it shows some red tomorrow, all right, don't be alarmed. Just buy it when it comes back down a little bit. If you're holding it, continue to hold it, right? Because we have easily another 15% to run up. And your place to cut it would be, probably beneath these lower, or these higher lows over here. I would definitely cut it if it doesn't live at, 1475. And again, you cut it and then it drops a little bit more and shows life. You just buy back in and get the money you lost back plus more, right? That's the beauty of it. And again, you got to be aware your first resistance is right about here. That should be pretty obvious to most people who've been doing this for a while. Got it, big fella. That's your resistance point. A lot of action stops there. So you could argue 7%, at worst. So it's a good looking trade though, really good value. And eventually it's going to break out of this and go crazy, for sure. Let's check the indicators. So it looks like it respects the 200 mightily, but a lot of bounces beneath it, and it looks like it's really hard to get above it. And again, we sometimes treat EMA lines like trampolines, like, ooh, bounce, bounce, bounce. It gives it some leeway, and if it can't really capture it, it is what it is. Now over here, you can say it also respects the 200 mightily because you see how that wick right there? So much power that got stopped out there, or so much power got stopped out, and then it kind of bounced it. So that's going to be your play, and that's why there's a resistance line right here. It needs to break the 200, and the 50 seems to have some respect for it. It looks like there's big moves after it breaks the 50. So I guess technically you want to buy in now and hope it breaks 1580 and holds, and it'll go crazy. But, you know, it was just oversold, right, and showing some life. It was just oversold and showed some life like I called. Vortex was low, and I called it, and now it has some life. Now with the Vortex, you have some time to run up. Again, you had 77. You could probably say run to at least 1.20. So you have another good amount of room to run. That's probably what's going to happen. And of course, there'll be some pullbacks. But again, indicators aren't really for you or against you. They're all fair. And then you know the EMA lines. You got to break both of them to really get some good moves. But overall, KPTI is a great stock. Next is RF, Regions Financial. Now, do I think this is going to last forever? Of course not. But I think it is also an ascending triangle for what it is. You put that there, little hat on it. As you can see, that's definitely an ascending triangle. Now, again, one could argue this is a channel play, which is a very valid point to make. And that's kind of the beauty of technical analysis. You don't really know which one it is, and they change every single time price action changes. But for all intents and purposes, I'm going to say it's probably an ascending triangle. And here's the beauty. If it's not and it dies on us, you know, you maybe lose 2%. You sell beneath the lows here, and then you could buy in here, and you'll make 7%. So you got your money back plus 5. So if it does break above here, because it has consistently higher lows, and then must have gotten so overextended that now it's consolidating back to where it should be. If it does break above 1635, it's going to make some really big waves. Even from here, if it's a channel play, you have 2 or 3% to make, and then you can get out, make it like a day trade. But RF is a really good look from here. And again, I have a hunch it may die on us and come back down to the $13, $12 range eventually. And that happens, again, it's just a better value for what you're spending. Let's check the indicators. So with it being an ascension, you're going to have not many good RSI movements and not really good volume, it looks like. It's not that great either. 50 EMA bounces all the way. Right, and it broke it. And that's kind of why you see it consolidate and kind of get it back above it. But that's above it. So again, you could easily use the middle of this channel as your stop loss. You could even say down here 15, 17, but that's a lot. That's a pretty far way down. 5%, and again, no, it's a little bit of money. So I'd be careful with that. Again, your best move would be the 200 if it does die on us. RSI is fair, Stoch's fair. Vortex is still low though, so I would expect it to go up a little bit more, have a small comeback, and then go off again. But the Vortex says we have plenty of room to run. This is where it drops down to usually. Well, it can go down a little bit farther. Those are real harsh moves down. So it's probably going to run up to about 1620. And then we'll see what happens. It may consolidate in the line and break above or come back down. But, you know, the MA line, the 50 holding you, the channel, this obvious support area right here, I mean, it's a pretty good safe trade for a channel up. RF, it's a good move. ROK, Rockwell Automation. We called this yesterday as well. We called this also over here. We said this is a triangle, and it surely is. Now, we don't know. I don't know if this is the line of trust, because again, it cuts through this one, but again, that gap is lined up perfectly. That's pre-lined up, and so are these. But also, you know, I could argue this one kind of cuts through this middle one. I could argue that the triangle is actually more like this, a little bit lower. And if that's the case, it has some room to drop. That's a bit concerning for where we're buying it at. But I also think it showed higher lows throughout this, and then even over here, right? This is a support area, you know, higher low. That's concerning. Higher low. So it looks like it's doing fine, making movement. And again, we want to see it break above this orange line. We want to see this. We want to see it go up, retest, take off. As my Wall Street bets people say, to the moon, rocket emoji. So we want to see it break that and hopefully hit 267, a good 7% trade. But again, it's $250 stock. You put that up, you get $20 per stock you buy. It's pretty good. But again, we want to see it break above it and make some good moves. Let's check the indicators. So it's consolidating, right? The consolidation means a big move's coming. It's around the 50. The 200 is going to also bolster it up. So the 200 is going to be easily your stop loss, including this channel over here. You have plenty of room for that. RSI is a fair deal, but again, it's been consolidating a little bit higher, so that kind of makes sense. Stochastic says it has room to go either way, up, down. It doesn't have many reversals in the middle of a move, like it has one here, but like otherwise, it seems to go from -40 to +40 pretty easily, so I think it's going to keep going up, and that's a great sign. And Vortex is consolidating. So again, the indicator is kind of worthless until we see which direction it's going to go. But if you got the money for it, it could be a really good move to make an easy 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks pretty quickly. SPLK. Now we called this over here. That's what these orange and vertical lines mean. And I keep them in there. I could delete them, but again, I'm going to keep them around so I can have better track of what I'm doing. You know, as an easy 9% move, you probably would have gone up and then probably sold in this area, made 6, 7%. And then we knew earnings was coming and it just completely crapped the bed. Horde. And again, anyone could have been like, well, why didn't you buy down here? It's impossible. No one knows where it's going to stop. I mean, I guess technically I would have said that's a good chance of it stopping there, but that's not how we trade. Anyone could go back 2020 vision and say, well, that was perfect entry point. Well, we didn't see it, right? Duh, not helpful. Now, every run up has pullbacks. Run up here, pullback. Run up, pullback. Now, the thing is, right, you could line those up almost perfectly. So again, is this really a pullback to then take off above it? You know, but again, we got to be honest and look back at history. Big drop off, tapped it, drop off, broke it. Run up, came back to close the support, and ran back up. So I have a hunch it's going to run up a good 5% in the next few days. If it doesn't live here, you'll just buy at 160 anywhere down here, and then you'll make more money. You know, that's 10%, 11% instead. So if it doesn't live here tomorrow, you got your stop loss area identified. But again, big red, smaller red, doji. So it's showing some signs of reversal here. Let's check the indicators. So RSI is a fair price. Now I'm sure it would be oversold if it wasn't for this gigantic move over here, which kind of like offsets all that. But again, it was oversold at this price. It was oversold at this price. So I think this is a good area of value. The stochastic can't get much lower and start to curl up. Like I said, it's kind of bowling off. Right, the 50. So that's a great sign of retest strength here. If it lives here, it's fantastic. And then the Vortex can't get much lower. It's almost as low as when this giant sell-off happened. So all the indicators with the 50 EMA support is a great buy-in. And again, if it doesn't live, you sell it, buy in again lower, and you make more money than what you just lost. SPLK is a great purchase. Next is SPT. Again, one that we've previously called a while ago. I mean, it was, almost, 3 weeks ago. But when I called it the support area, it was an easy 25% play. That was pretty gnarly. That was a good day for everybody involved. And again, it was an ascending triangle. I mean, what else could you want? And now it's retesting this volume area. We got to hope it lives. I mean, honestly, if it lives here inside this triangle or as the channel play again, which again, big red, smaller red, green, small red, it's showing some signs of reversing off. Now again, you have to think back historically, like this exact shape over here, right? This took 14 days to really turn around. This one right here took 4. So there's some of these plays that are going to take a long time to reverse, some are really quick. That's part of the game, baby. It is what it is. So we're seeing it kind of reverse here. One could even hope that this is now going to be like the resistance, and now we have a different kind of ascending triangle formation, right? And that's kind of a stretch. I don't think that's going to happen. But again, if it lives here, easy, 7% at least. If it breaks where we want it to, 15 and then hopefully 21 one day. So SPT, a great setup, a great channel up. Will this last forever? No. But again, for now, if we can abuse it, if it can move this volume line up here and it really moves and shifts up, we'll be at the ground floor of a new channel. That's fantastic. Let's check the indicators. They look good. The 50 was broken. It was bouncing off of that, so it's not a great sign, but the 200 is always stronger, and that's right beneath it. As you can see, too, this is another trick you can do. Look how far away it was. 4%. Look how far away it was. 3%. 4%. and 4%. So it doesn't have a history of touching it, but it has a history within getting to 3%. And I'm sure if we looked at a smaller time chart, that would also be the case where it's hitting one of these lines. I'm not going to look into it because I don't really care that much. RSI is oversold, stochastics consolidating. Vortex has not been lower, right, in a very long time. These are great signs for reversal. It's all in your favor. I'm sure that this is close to a divergence here, but again, it really looks good from here. If it lives, easy 15%. SPT is going to be a good play. We have called UMH before. See this over here. We played it over here. We called it 13%. If we would have held, it would have been at a high of 25, but probably 20 is a fair call. And again, just a beautiful ascending triangle. I mean, you could have played this once, twice, 3 times. Sold, right? So it's coming back down to this area that is an area of support, right? I don't like to draw too many lines, but one could argue this whole area, probably right off of this little peak, that's a whole area of support where a lot of action stops here. And so it's right in there. It showed some life, and it's right above this channel. One could argue that it's going to kind of come up then come back down. Sure, but plenty of moves also happen right above this channel. So I think this is a great area of value. If it lives, easy 5%. If it really does what I want it to do, 11%. And again, you could hold for the long term. If you were to buy in over here, ultimately would have been a good 50% move, about 1% every 3 or 4 days. Not bad. Let's check the indicators. They look good. It was riding the 50, but respects the 200 like a trampoline, right? Boom, boom, boom. And it's getting close to it. So again, I could see it dropping a little bit farther, but the RSI is oversold. Stochastics slowly moving up, but again, it's kind of saying it's a divergence. Oh, nope, it's all good. And then Vortex is kind of curling back up. And again, it was down to where it usually is before it reversed. So I think it has good indicators. It may take a while to reverse. It may come down a bit farther. But if that's the case, again, you can hold and be just fine. I would have said this could have been a channel play earlier. But again, like over here, we said this is a channel play. But with the new highs, this is definitely a triangle or a channel up. So it's a good play. Next is VERI. Veritone. Again, not my usual play. But again, this is a very evident ascending triangle. And again, it's beautiful. It just goes up, taps it, comes down, taps it. This has lived 3 times now, and now a 4th, which shows a pattern. One could also say that this area right here is definitely now going to be a support, higher lows, and now it's showing life. Easily 10% if it does what I want it to do. Closer hopefully to 17. And again, this is a ascending triangle, and it's really doing this and blast out above it. Then we're going to be talking even more money, right? It'd be crazy. But again, this is a really intense ascending triangle, so I don't know if this is really going to blast off. It may come up here and then really die on us and make a new channel, because all channels come from big moves. So if it does a big move, does this, then comes back down a little bit and then, starts over, that's fine. But again, it's an area of value. You can always sell, at 28 if it doesn't live. But again, if you want to hold on to it, you're talking 8% of loss, but 20% gain, 3-to-1. But again, it's a really good play. Let's check the indicators. 50 EMA line is going to be your play. That's just living above it. If it can hold that plus the channel, you're good. 200, worst case, it dies and you buy in that area. RSI is fair, but again, it's a channel up. So RSI doesn't get that oversold. Stochastic was recently at a divergence. Yeah, right there. And down, but showed that. So that's definitely a divergence. That's why it's showing life here. And then the Vortex, again, on channel ups, don't really get oversold, but again, it got to that area, 71, it would have gone to 65 perfectly, and now it's crossing over. Once this crosses, see that? Once it crosses this, because red's going to come down, that's how long you ride it for. You ride it all the way to the top. You want to ride it till about probably 1.1 or even 1.36, right? Let it ride up. But again, your play is over the 50. If it breaks that, sell it. But VERI is a great play. Last is WMT, or formerly known as Walmart, a company that I hate. We called Walmart over here. We said if it lives here, it'd be great. You would have made it cool 1%, and then you would have lost money. But again, it bounced here, went up 2%, and it came down. Now again, do I think that I would buy this tomorrow with no signs of life? No, I wouldn't. But again, this is your downtrend. You connect the two and you go down. Where is it? Above it. Okay, so this is a pivotal point in Walmart stock as we speak. This is an area of support, and if it retests and takes off, that is an indication that this is going to happen. Whoopee! And that's 13% over 14 days. You'll take that, right? But if it comes through and it dies more, then you have no reason to buy until it hits 141 for sure, right? This is all about supply and demand. Until we see at a good enough point where demand's going to increase, we're not going to do it. But again, this is a certainly great area of reversal. And again, it's downtrending, showed some life, maybe it's retesting and take off here. And again, if not, you buy a little bit lower. That's okay. Let's check the indicators. It looks pretty good. It did break both EMA lines. As you can see, it tested that 200. You see how it died? It went, and then died. So this could be a lost cause. Honestly, this is going to be really interesting to see what happens. But that's going to be your play. If it lives here, and if it lives here, and then it goes along over these two lines, for sure buy in. But if it doesn't break these lines, you got to wait till it does. 44 is fair. Stochastic can get a little bit lower, so we'll see it probably kind of curl off here. Vortex just crossed it, so Vortex looks a little oversold. Sorry, overbought. So I'd wait. Now give this one a few days. I'm sure if it shows life tomorrow, like a big movement like this, and it breaks above it, you'll buy in. But until it does that, I think it may drop to 140. You can just buy in there and go long. But for the future reference, WMT is a great purchase. And there you have it. Those are our 12 plays for the day. I always double check that. I get it right every time. Once to double check that. That's your 12 plays for the day. It'll be good for tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. And probably good for Monday, depending on the action goes. But these are all value plays, all really good pattern setups, good volume, good indicators. What more can you ask for? If you're a 9-to-5 trader, I'm sure you can buy these with a stop loss and not be white knuckling, be all sweaty all day. You're in good hands. With that being said, please subscribe, like, hit the notification. Please share this if you found it interesting. Our last video was the first one to break 1,000 views. We're at 1.15 of 1,000 subscribers, so 100,150. Doing pretty good. I want to break 10,000 in the next 365 days, hopefully. With that being said, be on high alert in the next few months for some premium services. I'm waiting until the pandemic is over. I can't in good conscience charge anybody for this until that's over. So until then, it's all free. Everything I'm doing is for free. It's all for the betterment of everyone around me. But when it comes time for the pandemic to be done, if some people want extra services, they will be available. But until then, it's all free. With that being said, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day trading. Good luck.